Australia's chemical regulator has approved an emergency permit for double-strength mouse baits to be spread on grain paddocks as parts of Western Australia and South Australia tackle one of their worst mouse plagues in history. It's a relief for farmers who say the mice are eating crops and damaging equipment. Rural reporter Jo Prendergast has more.
Well, Kath, farmers have been waiting for this approval for months. That's how long they've been experiencing these mice in plague proportions in part of WA's Wheatbelt. They've been doing their best to try and control them on farm, but this is a really time-critical moment for farmers. They're trying to sow this winter's grain crop and the mice are just coming along. They're eating the crop before it can grow, or they're nipping it off when it's just a little baby plant. So a really important time now for the industry, but certainly something they've been waiting for months. And the significance of this double-strength bait is that what it will do is kill the mouse once it's essentially eaten one poison grain. And history has shown in the farming sector that that is critical when you have mice in the numbers that they are in at the moment. So we've been and visited farms. You just see swarms of mice everywhere at night. They're in sheds. They're eating the wiring in machinery, eating hoses, eating everything they basically can, and there's just clumps of them wherever you look. So a significant day for the farming industry, but one that really industry has been waiting for quite some time, this double-strength bait.
And just how have rural communities been affected more broadly by this plague?
Well, the thing with the farmers is they have the mice on their properties, but the mice then move from the properties into the towns that are surrounded by these grain paddocks. So the mice have certainly moved in, visiting some of these communities. You walk into the shops and you can just smell mice. You can smell nesting mouse and dead mouse. There's mice littered all through the main streets, and that's really despite the best efforts of communities to try and tackle the mice, to try and control them. They're baiting, they're trapping, they're doing everything they can, but the mice are just everywhere. And we have heard concern from community leaders that the amount of mice that are in their towns will lead to some sort of health outbreak. So very welcome news for some of those community leaders that the mice might be controlled in the paddock as well.
Yeah, so Jo, the emergency permit has now been approved. What are the next steps? What happens now?
Well, the permit came with some pretty strict conditions around farmers needing to be accredited. They need to do training, so they'll go and do that now. And that's because we have heard some concern around the environmental potential impacts of this bait being in the system. So farmers will need to be very aware of that. They'll need to follow some pretty strict conditions when they're using it. But I think they're really hoping that they'll have access to some of this bait on their farms by the end of this week.